to the 8th grade graduation of the year 2012, 5772. It is a well-established custom at Columbus Torah Academy to honor our faculty as they come in before the graduates. So please join me in welcoming the faculty of Columbus Torah Academy. I would like to ask Tal Benatar from our class of 2011 to lead us in the singing of the national anthems.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Kolot balevav penima, nefesh Yehudi homiyah, ulfatei mizmach kadima, ayin metzion Sophia. שנות אלפיים, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים.
Please be seated. To open our graduation ceremony tonight, I would like to ask Ricky Shankar and Josh Wolf to come up to read from Sefer Tehillim Kuf Lamed Daled, the Book of Psalms, chapter 134.
ברכו את אדוני, כל עבדי אדוני, העומדים בבית אדוני בלילות. שאלו ידכם חודש וברכו את אדוני. יברכך אדוני בציון, עושה שמיים וארץ.
A song of ascents. Listen, Bless the Lord, all your servants of the Lord. Stand in the house of the Lord in the night. Lift your hands in the sanctuary and bless the Lord. May the Lord, maker of heaven and earth, bless you from Zion.
Dr. Dan Chase, the president of Columbus Torah Academy, to please issue words of greeting.
I'd like to recognize dignitaries here this evening, Rabbi Harold Berman from Congregation for Israel, and Gordon Hecker, who's representing the Federation this evening. And if I've missed anybody, I apologize. They'll come in just the past few moments. Yesterday we had a wonderful ceremony, and we follow up tonight. I'm happy to be here tonight for the graduation ceremony of the special 8th grade class. It was an uplifting ceremony yesterday, and I'm sure it will be today. These special young men and women young men and ladies of the 8th grade have grown in special ways through their many years in our wonderful school. And they're moving on to enter what I call the crown jewel of CTA, which is the upper school, the high school. You are going to be taught by amazing teachers, and you're going to be continuing to experience moments that will shape you into leaders, and that's what CTA is about. We talk about producing the next generation of leaders, and you all are next. Our administrators and teachers are eager to bring you up to the next level, and you're going to be challenged, but in really good ways, which will make you think independently. And personally, as I've seen my own children grow up through this grade and beyond, I'm looking forward to seeing the happy ending with you all. So right now, I'm looking forward to your speeches and seeing the proud faces of your family out here as we celebrate the end of the 8th grade and the beginning of your promising future.
The 8th grade class chose as their theme for their remarks this evening, transitions, as they make their own transition from 8th grade to high school. The order of the speakers will be as follows: Ariella Hartstein, Rakefet Schenker, Chad Harwitz, Josh Wolf, Judah Stein, Erica Schneiderman, Jacob Edwin-Nariam, and Hava Parks. We start with Ariella Hartstein.
As I walked into CTA wearing a purple dress and braids on the first day of kindergarten, I was excited. Finally, like my older sister, I was a grown-up. I was excited to learn new things and anxious to start. Was I a naive little girl? I had no idea I would be spending 9 long years here. I had no idea what teachers I would have or what friends I would make. I had no idea how many kids would come and go or what effect they would have on my character. CTA has also changed me on a Judaic level. I've learned from Chumash, Navi, Jewish history, and Hebrew. I began studying Navi in 3rd grade with Mor Shoshana and Jewish history in 7th grade with Rav Shanah. Mor Rabin made Chumash fun and educational to a 5th grader. Now I have a vast knowledge that will help me through life based on what I've learned in all those classes. At the same time, CTA has educated me through general studies. One of the most important things I've learned at CTA is leadership. In 4th grade, we built our own business, Havdalah Hits. We sold items to use during the Havdalah service, and I was interviewing for the job of CEO. We were taken outside the classroom and interviewed by Miss Press, who called me out and asked me a few questions on why I wanted to be the CEO. The interview went well, and I was soon in charge of our business, which was sold at the Achievement Fair. Although our business did not have quite the appeal like Apple or Google, I still learned how to be an excellent leader. CTA has also helped me appreciate davening. I was lucky enough to be part of Mora Abby's class last year. Her class changed my perspective on tefillah for the better. We learned new things every day about davening, and we counted how many days Gilad Shalit was being held captive. I believe one of the reasons he came home was because of our prayers. Even though Abby made Aliyah this past summer, and she doesn't teach us anymore, she'll continue to inspire me to daven with kavanah. No matter where I am in life, I will always look back on these days as one of the best. I will fall back on the morals CTA has taught me and utilize them in my life. I will continue down the path of Judaism because of the road CTA has paved for me. The life lessons I have learned here are priceless and can be found nowhere else. I'm proud to say I'm a Torah Academy graduate and Lion. Thank you.
CTA for so long that, unlike Ariella, I don't even remember how it felt to walk through those large black doors on the first ever day of school. I'm sure I had no idea what I was walking into. A whole world of memory. Every year I've been here, I've had teachers that have taught me a great deal, whether I remember all of it or not. In kindergarten, I had Nora Alicia and Nora Shoshana. During nap time in kindergarten, I recall that I would never sleep. I would just read books the entire time. What I would get for nap time now? In first grade, I had Mrs. Toman, who I can honestly give credit to for teaching me how to use money, though it involved a little bribing on her part. In third grade, our dreaded water cycle song was forged permanently in my memory, and in fourth grade, Miss Press read the book Coraline with us before the movie came out. We performed the Underground Railroad play in fifth grade, and the next year, Mrs. Willis taught me that math isn't always torturous. I remember Rabbi Elwaz too, and how we got candy almost every day, which is probably why I'm now sick of Mike and Ike's. In seventh grade, we performed Shakespeare, and all the girls played boys, and most of the boys loved wearing tights. And of course, I remember earlier this year, Washington, where we visited all kinds of places, like the Holocaust Memorial Museum, the Museum of Natural History, and the Air and Space Museum, but weren't allowed in the White House because they were Christmas decorating. I remember our color wars and how, throughout the years, incredibly, I've never once been on the red team. But I also remember another valuable thing. I have grown to love Hashem and love Judaism, and I definitely have CTA to thank for that. And although I have all those elementary and middle school experiences as my foundation, I'm sure that my first day of high school will be much like my first day of kindergarten. I will have no idea what I'm walking into. And who knows, maybe in a few years, when I'm older, I'll remember my 8th grade graduation.
Step aside the stage in our school shul, wearing a black Southern-style cowboy hat and an old Wild West cotton with black vest with silver embroidery to match the hat. It was right before the Underground Railroad play our school had done for years that I was now a part of. I was scared because I hardly knew anyone in our class. During the rehearsals, though, our class got to know each other and bonded during the course of the event. The play itself was a great learning experience despite certain disasters, technical difficulties, and the inability to stop laughing at those problems. From that point on, our class became good friends, accepted each other for who we were. Many people from our class left CTA, and our class had its fair share of problems over the years. However, every time something serious happened, we stuck together and maintained our trust and friendship toward each other. The friendliness spread slowly throughout the other classes, which made our lower school and later our upper school very close because a small number of people made it easier to make friends. Finally, one of the best things about the school is the school community's acceptance. Our school is a wide range of religious levels, from Reformed to Orthodox. The school is religious, but in the end, everyone is able to find a common ground in their beliefs and get along with each other just fine. In the end, CTA may not be the biggest, but to me, CTA has been the best school I've ever attended and has changed my life for the better. And I'd like to thank all of my teachers, fellow students, friends, and family for making that possible.
My graduation speech. When I first arrived at CTA, I was nervous because it was a new school with new people. I only knew a few people that came with me from CJDS. They were nervous too. But on the first day, I met new people. We said hello to each other and became friends. Now I know everybody in the school. During my time at CTA, I learned a lot of new things in the secular classes that I didn't know before. For example, in Mr. Gadding's social studies class, I learned about how Reconstruction affected the South after the Civil War. In Mrs. Schwenneman's math class, I learned about the quadratic formula and how to use a discriminant. In Dr. Kennedy's science class, we learned about elements and their structures. I've also enjoyed learning about Jewish history, how to translate Hebrew words, and how to put them in sentences. The secrets of Judaism have also been fascinating. In Rebbe Lilly's class at the beginning of the year, I learned about how the Jews faced prejudice in Europe for over 5 centuries. I've also studied about the history of Israel, of how it became a country, and its trouble with Saudi Arabia. With more Galit's help in private Hebrew class, I learned and studied Hebrew words and formulating sentences. Rabbi Whites is always encouraging me with reading the Chumash. I find myself wanting to improve and show what a great Jewish scholar I can be. Ever since I came here, I have been getting better at math, English, science, Hebrew, and even gym thanks to Mr. Bailey. The teachers at CTA have guided me and given me help. They always managed to fit me into their schedules, even if it was after school. I have great memories working with Dr. Kennedy, Mr. Kramer, and Mrs. Mill in the beautiful CTA library. All of these teachers helped me take steps in becoming a more educated person in so many realms. For this, I am forever grateful. Most importantly, all the teachers and staff at CTA, including Rabbi and Mrs. Khan, made me feel confident. They said, just do your best. This is something I will never forget. Now, if I were to travel back in time and give advice to myself in 7th grade, I would say, don't worry, just try your best and everything will be okay. Thank you, teachers, for helping me, supporting me, and encouraging me. Thank you for understanding who I am and what I am capable of. I feel happy, safe, and smart at CTA. Thank you for 2 wonderful years. High school, here I come.
I'm about to end my 2nd year at CTA, and I have learned a lot in the past 2 years. When I came to CTA from CJDS, it was quite the transition. I was a little scared that I would not do well in Judaic classes. The Judaic and Hebrew classwork looked very difficult to me. Not only that, but I was entering a new world with new faces, new teachers, and a new schedule. How would I succeed? In 7th grade Hebrew, we read a book that had no English in it. The entire text was complete foreign language. In Chumash, I knew nothing about ways of life in biblical times. Even in science class last year, I struggled for I did not know how to take proper notes in class and out of class. But slowly, my difficulty eased. In my Judaic class, I have improved in my vocabulary. That language I could not understand became Hebrew in conversation and in writing. I took a Gemara class with Rav Shana. He has been a great teacher this year in Gemara class because he has taught me how to find Machloket and Mishnas and how to translate Mishnas. In science, Dr. Kennedy taught me how to use the Cornell method in taking notes, which I use in both in and out of class. I am ending my 2nd year at CTA, and I thought that it has gone by very quick over the past 2 years. I have to go through another transition this year. Next year, I have to go through another transition next year, but this time is from junior high to high school. I am very grateful for having great teachers at CTA because they are the best teachers I've had in my life.
In my elementary school years, I was never very adept in putting words on a page and making them fascinating to the reader. Now, with the help of my 2 very skilled English teachers, Mrs. Moreno and Mr. Guinan, I can, as he says, rise to the challenge and entice the reader. When writers compose great books, they create a gateway to another place, a special place, even if the ending is sad or happy. A key in writing a story is using specificity. This helps clarify the story, and so the reader can get a clear and visual idea of what is happening. My biggest achievement in my 2 years since I started at CTA has been in the area of writing composition. I have written many essays and short stories, and each time I feel like I can write better and better. I am more confident and not afraid to write what comes out of my head. When I am given a writing assignment, such as writing a story based solely on a random title, I explode with a traffic jam of ideas, each demanding consideration. Unfortunately, I can only pick one, and whichever one I choose, I make it the best I can. This year, my class was visited by a famous writer of many Newsweek cover stories, my brother Ross. Hi, Ross. Mr. Schneiderman spoke about writing, the idea behind writing, and how he approached assignments he is given. I have read every single one of his stories and feel so proud of all his effort and hard work he put in. Now, some people might think that writing is a waste of time. What is the point of sitting for hours on end and giving your hand a workout? That is where people are wrong. You are not merely putting ink on a page, but expressing your mind, thoughts, feelings, judgments, everything. Words can pour over onto the page like a paintbrush gliding over the canvas, the colors swirling about, and look what you're left with, a masterpiece.
At the beginning of this year, I was probably the worst writer in the history of the earth. Writing was an unclimbable mountain with icy, jagged, snow-covered sides. At home, I would love to read about all these great historical people, but I knew I couldn't put words on paper to express my own personal view on the subject. Then came 8th grade. In the beginning of the year, Mr. Diamond told us that we needed a notebook for us to write in, and I just started to write. I filled up that notebook with stories about historical events and people, such as a story about the Battle of Gettysburg and a comparison of Napoleon Bonaparte and George Washington. I wrote stories with commentary and a storyline, and I was surprised at how easy it was. I wrote stories inspired by the books I read, stories set in the period of World War II Germany, and turned fictional characters into living persons with feelings, emotions, and personal opinions about what is happening around them. This year, I have learned to do many things, but to learn to write was the greatest accomplishment of this year. The ability to write well will serve me greatly in the years to come. At the same time, I learned that writing is not an achievement, but it remains that icy, jagged mountain that I will be climbing for the rest of my life.
I'd been in CTA for 3 years and was still in the Hebrew Learning Center. I had no interest in any Judaic classes and would have loved to switch back to public school. I was going into 7th grade, and the only thing that I felt that I'd benefit from was Camp Stone in the summer before 6th grade, which helped galvanize my experiences at camp with the practice of Judaism in my own home. The first day of 7th grade came along, and I was everything but enthusiastic. I wasn't open to giving some of my classes any chances, and was terrified of Nevi because I'd heard it was difficult, and that I'd actually have to put forth effort in Chumash that year. I'd always loved those classes, but they weren't my strong points. I walked into my 4th period class nervous and left frustrated and confused. I only had it for 2 quarters and couldn't wait for it to be over. A week into it, I already had an F and didn't think I'd be able to bring my grade up until Mrs. Katz pulled me aside and said I had a lot of potential and could be getting an A. She was someone I looked up to, and her encouragement gave me confidence, and by the end of the first semester, I ended her class with a B+, which would have been an A had Operation Say not been so terrifying. In 7th period, as the Avidensius wire, I was extremely excited to have Rabbi Boyanju as a teacher. But again, I left the class wishing that 6th grade hadn't ended. He told me the same thing Mrs. Katz had, and again, I brought my grade up. Nevi and Chumash had remained my favorite classes, but I'd also gained a new respect for the 2 teachers. By the end of the year, I had a new love for Judaism that made me a better person. My parents were very supportive, and I have them and CTA to thank for everything. I learned that if you put forth effort, you'll grow in more ways than the one you initially intended.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in letting these young men and women know how extraordinary they are.
Hi everyone, nice to see you. Delman. I'm the General Studies Upper School Principal for grades 7 through 12. And now the moment we've been waiting for, to hand the students their diplomas. 8th grade teachers, Mr. Steve Guinan and Mrs. Diane Schwendeman. As the students come around and receive their diploma, it's a good photo op, so we'll sort of pause for each one. Starting with Jacob Ellis, Yaakov Minelik, and Emid Miriam. Ariella Sarib Hartstein. Chad Stefan Horwitz. Hava Parks. Erica Mariah Schneiderman. Rakefet Shankar. Judah Stein. Last and certainly not least, Joshua David Wolf.
Now I would like to ask Erica Schneiderman to come up and make the presentation of the class gift.
As a contribution to CTA, I would like to make a donation to the upper school for a whiteboard. I hope that this will benefit very greatly in the upper school in years to come.
On behalf of the teachers, we definitely appreciate that. The chalk dust is getting a little difficult there, and it'll be much easier to project on a whiteboard. Thank you so much.
In the program, it says that it's time for a farewell message to the graduates. But one of the many beautiful and special things about this particular class is that there is no need for a farewell. You see, each and every one of the students in this year's 8th grade will be continuing on to our high school. We thank them for this decision, and we thank their parents. Thank you, parents. If I can share a few words with the 8th grade class with you guys tonight, I'd like to quote from Hillel and Pirkei Avot, the great sage Hillel. He said in words that many of us know, Im ein ani li, mi li. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? Uchshe'ani la'atzmi ma'ani. And if I am only for myself, what am I? Ve'im lo achshav ematai. And if not now, when? I find these words particularly apropos for this evening as our 8th graders graduate and move on to the next phase of their life. Im ein ani li mili, if I am not for myself, who will be for me, is a very clear and pithy statement about independence. We must begin as we grow and mature to learn about the value of taking care of ourselves. Our parents will always be there to love us and to guide us. Our teachers and friends will be there to support us. But ultimately, as we move, as the graduates are doing, to the next stage of life, we have to learn to take care of ourselves and to work hard to meet our goals. However, Uchsha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani. If I am so focused on myself and my needs and my goals that I do not consider others and I do not help others, then ma'ani, what am I? Of what use am I to the world? Of what use am I to society? And so Hillel tells us that we have to keep both of these ideas in mind. To look out for ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to work hard to meet our goals, but also to constantly ask ourselves, what can I do to help others? What can I do to support others and make sure that just as I seek my aspirations, I help them accomplish their dreams as well? And when do we start working on these two things? Hillel concludes, Im lo achshav ematai. If not right now, if not right at this moment, then when will be a better time? And what a perfect message for our 8th graders. This is the time for you to begin to show how you can set your own goals and be independent, and how you can begin to truly care for others and help them reach their goals. We are incredibly proud of you tonight, and we know that you will bring tremendous nachat, tremendous pride and joy to yourselves, to your families, and to the Jewish people. Thank you. After the reading of songs and the closing of the program, there will be a recessional. We'll ask the parents and all of our guests to please stay seated for the recessional. And after that, there will be refreshments in the old gym. If you go out of this room, out of our shul, and turn to your right and just keep going, you'll enter the old gym. There will also be lots of chances to take pictures there with the graduates. But first, the reading of Perek Kuf Chaf Aleph from Sefer Tehillim, chapter 121 of Psalms, Ariel Hartstein and Hava Parks.
Shila Malot Esayna Al Harim Ma'ayna Boazir. Ezri Me'im Adonai Osa Shemayim Ba'aretz. Al Yitim Amot Rablecha, Al Yanim Shomrecha. Hinei Lo Yanim V'Lo Yishan, Shomer Yisrael. Adonai Shomrecha, Adonai Tilcha Al Yad Yaminecha. Yomam Hashem et Shloyechecha Ve'areach B'Layla. Adonai Yishmerecha Mikol Ra Yishmor Enafshecha. Adonai Yishmor Tzidkecha U'Merecha Mi'ata V'Yad Olam.
A song of degrees. I will lift up my eyes to the mountains. From where does my help come? My help comes from Hashem, who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who watches you will not slumber. Behold, he who watches Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Hashem is your keeper. Hashem is your shade upon your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Hashem will preserve you from all evil. He will preserve your soul. Hashem will preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore.
Graduates, please rise. And for one final time, the class of 2012.